Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, I'll bring the meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Please call the roll.
Director Robertson,
Here?
Director Ratterman,
Here.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
Director Garamendi,
Here.
and President Davidson.
I'm here as well. Item number 2 is public comment. This time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. The public is encouraged to work with staff to place items on the agenda for board consideration. No action can be taken on the matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment? Anybody online? No? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are expected to be routine, non-controversial items will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be removed for later discussion. 3A, approval of minutes of the board meeting of September 23rd. 3B, review board of directors monthly timesheets for September. 3C, ratify claim summary 643. 3D, cancellation of the second board meeting in November and December.
Move for acceptance. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to new business discussion action regarding authorization to file an amicus. I'm not sure how to say the other part, brief for in Biomass Association of California, Public Utilities Commission of California. Michael? How do you pronounce that?
We gotta, work on our Latin here. Amicus curiae,
Okay.
is Latin for friend of the court. And it essentially is an opportunity for, outside entities to provide an appellate court with their view of the litigation that's happening. So the Biomass Association of California, has essentially sued the California Public Utilities Commission, which reached a conclusion that they are going to terminate the biomat program, which is the biomass market adjusting tariff. Might as well be Latin as well. And it is really the only way for small community scale biomass projects like the one that is proposed on our property in Wilseyville to move to market. So it requires that the investor-owned utilities, PG&E, SoCal Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric purchase power from those units at a premium. Without that, those projects don't pencil, and even with it, they barely pencil. What we've seen with the West Point project is they've had to come up with all sorts of other sources of revenue in addition to the power purchase agreement to make that project pencil, and it still is barely feasible. So without biomat, projects like that will not happen. There's no other alternative. So there was a advocacy effort earlier this year to try to convince the legislature to extend the biomat program. That failed. And what the Biomass Association of California has done, which we're members of, looked at the legal authority that the PUC is using and found that they don't actually have the legal authority to terminate that program. There's no expiration date in the statute, in the law. There's the PUC's job that was given to them by the legislature is to sell 250 megawatts of capacity of that power, and they're not anywhere close to that. So I think it's a fairly, I'm a little bit biased here, but I think it's a pretty strong legal argument that the Biomass Association of California has. And so they've reached out to partners and supporters to provide amicus briefs to help encourage the Ninth Circuit. Sorry, this is in the California District Court of Appeal, District 1, I think. So not the Ninth Circuit, this is state court, to encourage that appellate court to reach the right decision here. Okay. So to me, it's something that aligns with our policy objectives. It's a great program for forest health, watershed protection. All the reasons that we've supported the project in West Point for many years now are aligned with this project or with biomat and the purposes of biomat. So my recommendation would be we put together an amicus brief and help support the cause.
Scott?
Michael, in your opinion, what is pushing or prodding the CPUC to make this move?
Yeah, it's hard to understand. And Julia Levin was going to try to join us this afternoon. I don't think she was able to. She has another deadline today. My take on it would be they're right now, they're looking at every possible way that they can address the affordability issues for utilities. This to me is not the way to do it. It costs, I think, less than a penny per ratepayer per month to fund a program like this, and the benefits are hard to quantify how big the benefits could be if it helps reduce wildfire risk around a community like West Point. But that is clearly the focus right now, is just where can they shave a penny, even if it's short-sighted and doesn't meet a lot of the other conflicting policy objectives that are out there. So I suppose that's what's behind it, but to me, that's not a good rationale for eliminating this program.
Is it in some way, could it reduce costs? I mean,
It's not a noticeable amount. No.
okay.
But it does for us. Sorry, Jack, I know you're in line. It does because we don't have to haul the chips into the Bay area, right?
Yeah, so there's not only, there's actually revenue in it for us if that project is able to move forward through, lease revenue and then also, reduces costs for us if we can take our biosolids there. And there's some other, hopefully we can get some behind the meter power directly from that project at our wastewater plant there. So there's some other benefits from that project directly for CCWD that we hope to replicate in Arnold. But if biomat goes away, I don't think there's a chance of that of another project coming along like it.
Michael, I support this. I think this is a good idea for all the reasons that you cited. Are there costs associated with CCWD with doing this, or are we just going to sign on to their brief?
No, we have to draft our own. So I think we'll develop that in-house for the most part. We'll have a little bit of assistance, I'm sure, from General Counsel's office on it, but I wouldn't expect them to have to spend a lot of time on it. So
A few $1,000s in legal hours.
yeah, I think that's fair.
I support it. I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have motions or second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any public discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Director Robertson,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Garamendi,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to 4B, discussion action regarding approval of purchase of the mounted closed circuit television inspection system.
Good afternoon, Director Jameson, members of the board. So this district's current CCTV system is 19 years old. The truck is, and the software and associated components are closer to 10 years old. And CCWD has a goal within its sanitary sewer management plan to inspect the gravity sewer system roughly every 8 years. And this piece of equipment is critical in doing that work. And the unit that we have currently has experienced failure after failure over the years. And in the meantime, the technology has vastly improved when it comes to whether you call them tractors or chronometers, the unit that holds the camera in the sewer system, and software. And so the district started to look last year during the budget process at replacements for the existing system in order to develop a capital outlay request for the budget. And so that work was done. And then once the budget was approved, the district staff went out, the purchasing agent went out and solicited quotations for this. And we received two. And the one that is before you here is the low bid for the work. And so the ask is essentially that you approve this purchase so that we can replace the aged CCTV system. So incidentally, the district ops did look at what it would cost to hire a CCTV crew to come out as opposed to replace the unit. And we got quotes anywhere from $7K to $9K to $13K per day. And they could do either 1,000 or 2,500 feet. So if you were to presume that they could do 2,500 feet for $7K a day, it's still over 100 grand more than and that's annually over the cost of this unit. So they ask is that you approve this purchase, and that will allow us to continue to comply with the goals that are listed in the sanitary sewer management plan.
Are we getting a new vehicle at the same time?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
So it would be a new vehicle. So what we have now is basically a 1-ton box truck. And then what we would replace that with would be an all-wheel drive, full-size Ford van. And so in the back of the van, you're going to have basically a flat screen television that the operator can look and watch the camera as it works through the sewer line. And then associated software, there's what would be called a boom. So you could lower this crawler and camera into the manhole in the sewer system, and then it'll track 1,000 feet out, fiber optic cable. Then you can retrieve it, and then you gather all that information, and then we then can incorporate that into our work order system. So you might have seen that there are some additional items that are not included in the quote. One of those is a small camera. So the camera that's proposed can take a look at sewer lines from 4 inches in diameter up above 8 inches. So there's different wheels that you can place on the tractor in order to be able to assess these different lines. What's not included is a 3-inch camera for very small stuff and a software program for the desktop. And so everything that would be included that would allow our folks to go out and do the work. The work can be done more efficiently, more effectively with updated equipment.
Question. We as directors received an email from Mark Padvaris of UROC, who said he submitted a quote for $248,000. What was the problem with that?
I have not seen that quote from UROC. So generally what will happen is our purchasing agent will receive quotes and give vendors a deadline. And that's kind of how we work through the process. I haven't seen a quote from them. What did happen with this iBox system is that once we received the quote, our folks were able to go out and take a look at the system and test it out. I do know that when we solicited the original quote from UROC, they were not willing to bring their system up here for us to test out. So,
but they were willing to. They did ask you to go to Elk Grove, right?
I'm not sure of that either.
And I think that was in the items in the agenda in the background. I guess that would be. I mean, that's a big differential.
Yeah, that is.
And price, of course, is important. I mean, for me sitting here, I don't know. I mean, it's very possible that the more expensive of the two that did get through the original procurement process, the more expensive one could be the better value. I would totally trust you to see which would be the better for our needs. But this one leaves me with a concern because if it works,
right,
and it's up to date technology, that's a hell of a lot of money, we could say.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Can we approve the purchase amount and then have you try to locate that?
That would be great.
Yeah, we'll try to locate that proposal.
I mean, if we were given the opportunity, I mean, at the board's discretion, we can make the decision because we truly do need to see these units. And so, and our folks need to be able to put them through their paces. And if UROC's willing to come up to Calaveras County and allow us to do that, that would be great.
Where are they located?
I'm not sure.
They're located in Sacramento. I think we all received that email, and they were trying to coordinate with a different one of their customers, which is City of Elk Grove, and then meet you there and test their equipment on Elk Grove sewers. They don't have their own sewers to test it on, obviously.
So I didn't receive.
You guys haven't seen this letter?
No.
No,
I thought for sure he would have, that's kind of silly to follow up with us and not, I mean,
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
even
I'm
sending.
surprised by that.
You know, it
This,
might be one of those things that you need to take a look at the letter to make sure that we've done everything correctly. I mean, I don't know, this guy was, I looked like he was challenging the RFP process.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any risk there for us. We're not obligated to take the low bid here, as Director Robertson pointed out. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about, as long as we're complying with our purchasing policy, which I wouldn't see an issue here with that either. But if it's a better value, you know, that's something
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want to go.
I mean, we're happy to take a look.
I forwarded the email to both of you, so.
Does it,
Thank you.
does it make a difference if it happens today or 2 weeks from now?
Well, it could. So depending on how long the quotes are built to last, you know, either of these companies, Roush or the IBOC those costs could change.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, perhaps we give them the rest of the meeting to read the email and we can bring the item back at the end of the meeting so we can still deal with it if we need to deal with it. They have their idea what we've read.
That's fine by me. Okay, all right, you check it
Sure.
out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Just go over it, see if we're buying the same kind of equipment and then.
I mean, truly-
For $80,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think truly it would
To read
be,
it.
I mean, yeah, but in light of that, I think it would be great if we could take a look at the equipment, you know,
Yeah.
I mean. So, I mean, I don't have an issue, you know, pausing this or, you know, going back and giving them an opportunity to show us what their equipment is also.
What if we gave you 30 minutes while we do other items to read the
Yeah,
letter?
or do we, so is there a expiration date on the quotes, the other quotes that we received, you know?
I believe so, yeah.
It sounds like, it sounds like, Jack, that they're important to see the equipment work
Yeah.
before making a decision on it. Instead of bouncing at 30 minutes, it might be best to bounce at 30 days.
Yeah, I'd like,
See what the other, you know, maybe even if we only got 2 bids on it and it's that much money and there is a little bit of, there's a variance, a huge variance between the two, of even bidding the same thing. And that's what you're going to find out if you see it.
that's what I want to look at, right?
The other-
Are we
the other-
talking apples to apples?
Yeah.
We need to be able to,
And the other thing, the software and the small camera, are they included in here or not?
They're not.
And if they're gonna be needed, can we get those items in here too, to approve at the same time? It kind of makes more sense to me than to say, you know, we're gonna buy this, but we also need these 2 things too, to make it work for our annual inspections.
I would presume that the board's capital outlay item would need to be adjusted in order for y'all to be able to do that.
Either that or take it out of your salary.
Yeah.
But if we save $80,000 to $100,000,
That's a good
then
point.
maybe it won't be. And I don't think we're doing, at the end of this agenda, we're doing a couple adjustings anyway, so we know how to do that. Anyway,
Well, and I think giving us the opportunity to see the equipment, compare apples to apples, and which is, you know, what the objective originally is anyway,
right.
will be helpful. So if we have that time, you know, I think to highlight what Michael said, the only thing that would change is the fact that one of these items or one of these bids could end up not being, could change.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe if we could just check on that and then come back if we, because if we have time, at least push it to the next board meeting.
Right.
If we're not gonna lose any of the current quotes,
Yeah.
and we can address this.
If we could, could we also follow up with the other couple of companies that haven't submitted anything yet as well?
That's what we'll do. Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly.
And see
We
if we
won't
can
just,
get-
right, yeah.
It'd be better to have 5, I mean, and not just 2, would be 3 is better, but 5 would be even.
I
and
think
we
it
got,
would-
we got a 3rd one coming, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I think it would just literally be kind of toss everything out, essentially kind of start again. If we can keep some of these quotes the same
That'd be great.
and add more, that would be great, but it could be one of these that we just have started.
And what do you think about adding the small camera and the software? Is that possible to get those and see where they are? And if we're
I
gonna,
mean, they're gonna be helpful in the future. The software is more of a nice to have than a need to have, because what that would basically allow us to do is in the office, we could see what staff are doing in the field real time, but we see that information anyway. It's conveyed through our work order system a couple days later. So that's not such a critical item. The camera would be great.
Yeah, this particular quote had a PTC 50 tilt zoom camera and vision report software that came as part of their bid. So I don't know what that means. I do know spending money on a good camera is usually a very worthwhile investment.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so
What was the date of the proposed demonstration in Elk Grove?
I don't know. Their quote is dated September 24th.
Okay, well, the other quote we're looking at is July 29. So things change.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right.
I concur that we should probably take a trip to Elk Grove and see what the equipment can do.
Yeah, for
or maybe they
changing cost.
changed their mind and they are now maybe willing to drive the extra 45 minutes and fill us up in our pipes. That would be, or even less than that if we're meeting them in Valley Springs.
That would be great. But for a change in cost like that, yeah, we definitely need to take a look for difference in cost.
And did you want to mention the possibility of recouping some of our money on the sale of the?
Yeah, absolutely. So the truck that we have now obviously doesn't meet emissions requirements for California, so that will be resold, and we anticipate we can get at least 30 grand for that unit in Nevada or Utah or somewhere else. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
So it's 16 years old,
19,
19, but you were saying it only has 70,000 miles.
if that, yeah. Low miles, I mean,
Okay.
all right, so we're just gonna table this item?
Yep.
Is that what we
sounds
decided?
good.
Till the next meeting.
Back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, 4C, discussion action regarding contract amendment with DA Woods Construction for Virginia Land AB Transmission Main Project.
Good afternoon, President Davison and members of the board. My name is Juan Maya, and I'm an associate engineer here at the district. So the Virginia Land Tank 8B Transmission Main Project original contract included a bid item for $50,000 for rock excavation. They were unforeseen during the transition of the project. Work under this item is performed on time and materials basis. Daily inspections provided from our inspectors on site. The project has reached Wind River Road, where the contractor has encountered substantial continuous rock. They've been there for like 3 weeks now, digging in just solid rock. Current expenditures are projected to exceed $120,000 to the breaking activities. Due to the uncertainty of the remaining rock quantities, the staff recommends increasing the allowance by an additional $150,000 for a total not to exceed $200,000. This does not represent a lump sum increase. The district will continue to pay only by actual time and material completed and being under the inspection or inspectors. Due to contract award and subsequent engineering committee meetings, staff has discussed the likelihood of rock excavation, and that could exceed our original amount. The board was advised that if actual rock quantities were greater than estimated, the district will be responsible for activities and for the additional cost breaking the rock. The staff recommends approving the requested increase in bid item 19, allowance for rock excavations by $150, establishing a total not to exceed of $200,000 with all work performed on time and material basis and verified by the district inspectors.
They're about done digging, aren't they?
Yes, we, as of probably today, we were around 92, 93% done of the project, of the total mainline. I need to clarify, of the 14-inch and the 12-inch transmission mainline. So we still got quite a bit of work to do. Like the line, service lines still need to be connected. Those are like around 210 connections. They're still remaining. And that's one of the reasons why we'd like to increase from the expected, is because we might encounter some rocks.
So how much one of the $150,000 do you think has been spent already?
Like around $83,000 as of right now.
Okay, I'll make a motion on this item that we move it forward, accept.
All right, we have motion to second. I'll second it. Is there any public comment? Our completion date is estimated in spring,
Yes, including the service lines.
and then the paving.
The paving is gonna come after the service lines.
Okay.
I guess a quick question. Do you see, I mean, it's rock, it's Calaveras County, I get it. Do you see anything else coming on this project? Anything else, storm clouds on the horizon?
Talking to the inspectors, and just in-house, rock, it was our biggest fear. It was, so to answer your question, I think the only thing we fear right now is rock.
So once we're through this, it looks like it's smooth sailing.
Yes. And I may add that rock creates a lot of issues with us because some of the existing infrastructure is all underground. So while we do rock excavations, that could potentially trigger a breakage or leakage somewhere else, but it's because of rock. So we're hoping that once we get through some of these hard sections.
I'm getting reports that they're hammering this stuff. I mean, it's a tough dig.
Right, no, I get it. I'm just wondering if there's another bill coming. If there's not, good.
All right. Okay, was there any public comment? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Director Robertson,
Between a rock and a hard place on this one, but I don't see the way around it, so I say yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
That was a very poor joke. Sorry. Yes.
and Director Garamendi,
Way forward is through it. Yes.
and President Davidson.
Yes. Okay, we will go to discussion action regarding amending the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program. Jeffrey.
Good morning, or I'm sorry, good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. You actually have two items before you to amend the 25-26 budget. One of them is the CIP, which I'm going to be discussing now. The other is the operating budget. As you are well aware, a lot of times CIP projects do not always follow strict timelines. Things happen. And some projects go from one year to another, and you think you're going to be done and by the end of June 30th, 2025, it rolls over into July, August, and September, which is a brand new fiscal year. There's some instances here where that's happened, where we need to improve or increase the cash flow for that CIP budget. We're not increasing the overall scope necessarily, project budget, but just the cash flow for 25-26. There's other items where we want to get ahead of the curve when we start doing planning and environmental work. And we may have a project set out in 26-27 and they look 25-26. We need to get going on that. And a couple of things have happened along those lines, some for grants and so forth. So what we did, Kevin, his staff, Damon and myself sat down and looked at the existing 25-26 CIP cash flow budgets for both the water and sewer side. And items in front of you is what we estimate they need to be increased by. So when you look at your month, and the biggest thing is when you look at your monthly CIP status reports, you won't see negative numbers in project balances just because we have adequate cash flow. The other part of it is it then becomes authorized spending. And that's really the number one issue here that we looked at. Big Trees Stations 4, Big Trees Pump Station 4 and 5 replacement, we're looking to increase that by $75,000. What funding for that's going to come from a combination of the Ebbets Pass Water Expansion Fund and the Water Capital Fund, which was formerly known as the Capital R&R Fund. And we're also going to rename that because of the scope of the project has changed slightly. There's the Lake Tulloch Intertie project. This is a project that when we first looked at it, it was pushed out to 26, 27, 27, 28 in that area. But when we got the new 2025 water CIP loan, we included funding for this project. That's why we're moving it forward and getting more involved in the pre-design work, potholing, and those type of activities. And we're going to need to increase the budget by $250,000. Again, funding will come from the 2025 water CIP loan, and that's housed in Fund 321. The Ebbets Pass Sawmill Tank, the CIP project, we had $350,000 budgeted for in 24-25, of which 52,000 and some change was unspent. This is also included, this project was included in the 2025 water CIP loan. So final design is complete, and we'd like to go out to bid on this project, Kevin, and be able to look at construction for this fiscal year. Now, this tank and the Wallace tank are very similar. They're going to be bid together, but it's all a timing issue. The same engineering firm designed both tanks. We're going to do the sawmill first, and then we're going to come down next wintertime to do the Wallace tank, because that's when we have lower water usage in the wintertime, and that's less drain on the system, and they can put a portable tank in to manage that work. The Wallace tank, which I just mentioned, is in there. We're just going to need $25,000 for final design and bidding. The construction will not take place until fiscal year 26-27. That will be funded in itself from the 2022 water loan. It was not originally included in the scope of that loan, but we had some excess funds that we can utilize, and we're going to put it towards that particular project. And finally, the last one on the water side is a Copper Cove water treatment filter rehab project. These filters have never been rehabbed, and the coating on is flaking away. This is a process that we've done in other other plants, including Jenny Lynn. There is $600,000 in the 25-26 budget. However, that cost underestimated was low, and it's been updated, and now the cost is $726,000 and change. So we're looking to increase the budget on that by $126,270, and funding for that is provided by the Water Capital Fund. Any questions on the water projects?
Just so I'm clear, these projects haven't gotten more expensive. This is a cash flow move.
For generally cash flow, the last item got more expensive.
How much more expensive do you say?
$127,000.
So that's the increase. The rest is on target. It's just moving money for this fiscal year.
Well, no, it was supposed to be, we originally, when operations looked at this, they looked at it and got some initial quotes, and it was going to be $600,000. Now, when we're getting closer and getting more detailed quotes, and I should say the initial estimates were $600,000. Now that we have detailed quotes, it's $726,000 for both of those filters.
So the only real increase to our CIP is $126,000.
On that particular, for cost. The others is shifting money from one fiscal year to another.
Right.
Yes.
But to build on Jack's, we're moving money from loans that was excess, and then a variety of others from fiscal years, from other things. We're not going to have to raise water rates or anything to pay for this extra, what is it, totals up to more than $1 million, right? 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah, that is correct, because these projects were actually included as part of the 5-year CIP program that was also included in the rate study. It's just moving them from year to year. And we do have the funds available for it.
And the other consideration here is some of the projects in the CIP will come in under budget this year. We know that for a fact. Some of them have taken longer to get out to bid than we had hoped. There's always some of that during the course of the fiscal year. So we will still come in under budget on the CIP and over the course of the year. But for these particular line items, we need the budget flexibility to spend on those projects.
Understood, makes sense.
All right,
Uh,
we have a motion.
Well, it's going to go
Through sewer.
the sewer side.
But Jeff, I have
Yes.
I have a question about the Tulloch Intertie project. That's the project that ultimately will result in a water line coming down Old Burns Ferry Road. You said, yeah. Okay.
Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, in part, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank-
and that's the one that takes it out underneath the lake.
Yeah, it'd be a redundant splat in West Lake.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had the numbers right on that.
Yeah, that was part of we have the money now from the loan proceeds for that, so we can get started on it.
Okay. And to kind of follow up on this last thing on the water side is the project budget will need to be increased by 126,000. Is that the thing that is drawing your attention to that is an engineer's estimate, or is that project hasn't gone out to bid,
No, it has not.
so it's conceivable it could be less than that.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks. Very good.
Yep. And we were waiting for your authorization before to go out to bid.
Okay, so we want to talk about the sewer and then get
Yes.
judgment on that. Okay.
The first item is the Huckleberry Lift Station Improvement Project. There's no budget for that in 25-26. It was estimated to be finished by June 30th of fiscal year 24-25. It rolled into this year. So what we're doing is we're just allocating money in this fiscal year that was supposed to be spent last fiscal year for cash flow. And we're looking to add $60,000 to this budget. Funding would come from the Lock and Tenna Sewer Expansion Fund, Fund 564, and the Sewer Capital Fund, formerly the R&R Fund, Fund 525.
You said we're increasing this by $6,000. Are we moving the money over, or is this an increase in cost?
Just moving the money over.
That's what I thought.
The next item is the Lock and Tenna Biolac Clarifier Project. There was $750,000 budgeted in 24-25, but no budget in this fiscal year because we anticipated the design work would be completed by June 30th of 25. Delays in the design phase delayed that. And what we're looking to do is increase the budget in this fiscal year by just under $296,000. Funding would be provided by the Sewer Capital Fund 525. It was budgeted in the same location last fiscal year. Then there is the Copper Cove SAP Tertiary Improvement Project. The budget for this project is a little over $1 million, which will go to fund the purchase and installation of the SAP unit. It has been determined that the reclaim filter needs to be rehabbed at the same time because its coating is badly chipping and there's corrosion within it. The clarifier screens and automatic valving around the filter also need to be replaced. It's estimated will increase the cost of the project by $251,000. And funding for this will be provided by the 2022 sewer CIP loan. We have a little bit of extra money from those loan proceeds because some of the other projects that were funded by that loan came in under budget.
Isn't this part of the project that was funded by Army Corps money, that 75%, 75-25 grant? Isn't this part of the project written funding to 13 million that we've already received through Section 219 Army Corps money? Isn't that this part of that same project? Raising the dam and replacing the filter.
No, it was just the SAF and the tertiary.
This is a different filter,
This is a different, yeah.
same plant?
Same plan,
Copper Cove?
yes.
Okay. Totally different project then.
It's within it, but
You want to clarify that?
I'll let you guys.
Yeah, close.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna try to boil it all down really fast. So,
Kevin's looking over your shoulder just
yeah,
because.
dam raise, was Army Corps dam raise, and then the SAF and, was also included. However, the filter rehab is not incorporated into the overall cost for the SAF installation and the dam raise. So it needs to be, because you would basically be putting a chandelier in an outhouse if you built the SAF and then didn't rehabilitate the filter that the SAF is going to send water to. And so in order to increase the throughput and optimize the treatment facility overall, that filter needs to be rehabilitated.
And one other layer is filter replacement is an ultimate objective of that process. But that's what we've asked, and we got, an additional 3.1 in authorization from 3.1 million in WRDA last year. And that's what we've asked the legislature to appropriate for us so that we have additional funds, so that at the end, after the dam raise is complete, we'll be able to ultimately replace that filter. But what we're hoping for in the immediate term, the SAF has already been ordered. Our staff are planning to install it. And thank goodness we have staff that are capable of projects like that because they can handle it in-house. Staff are planning to install it, and then rehab the filter will buy us time because it's going to take years before that dam raise is complete, and the filter is in need of rehabilitation immediately.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me just check and make sure I got all that right.
Good.
So really this whole item, that's the final, all the sewer one, that's the final sewer one to talk about?
Yes.
So really, we are adding over $600,000 to water and $600,000 to wastewater budget for the 25-26 capital improvement budget.
Yes, we are adding that cash flow to it, yes.
But most of it is not actual increase in project cost.
Right.
Right,
I saw that. So
right. And we'll still, like I said, we'll still come in under budget overall.
because of other items that aren't on this list.
Yeah, I wish we could
that
hit the budget targets that we set.
And
but
some of these items
some
on
of
this
those
list, we make
delays.
them under budget as well. Because we
Right,
don't
some
know
of those
yet.
delays are gonna still lead us to come in well under budget in the CIP.
So, but I do think with the director, with Mr. Meyer's ability to move money around, that when he does retire, he could take up a second career as a professional juggler.
Yeah. I will say this is aside from the point here, I'm pretty sure we did not do any budget adjustments for the whole last fiscal year, which is remarkable. This is not terribly common. We've been lucky lately, but I think it's good to clean these things up while we can and before we've committed to funds.
Jeff, we agree. Jeff, if I could just clarify, so it's 126 more for water. And am I reading this right? 251,000 more for sewer.
Yes, sir.
Those are new expenditures, not in the CIP. Those are increased costs.
Yes.
We don't expect more, right? This is kind of a one-time thing.
As Michael alluded to, we very rarely do budget adjustments. They're generally done at mid-year in January. So moving this early because we want to get moving on these projects. I don't anticipate any more CIP budget adjustments. Operating, I'll have to defer that to my successor.
Well, I have no problem with shifting money for cash flow. Totally get that. I'm just watching how our prices as our costs increase.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
a challenge when it comes to capital CIP projects.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we should be focused on. Yeah.
What is our trend here? Are our projects coming in at budget or under, or there was a while there we couldn't keep up with it. I'm just curious.
Actually, I think we're doing much better now. Part of that is because of, I'll let Kevin speak a little bit more in detail, is because I think we're getting better engineer estimates because they got a better feel for what the costs are out with the vendors and contractors' equipments.
Yeah.
So that's been a big thing. Sometimes we run it, and I'm not picking on this one, but when we do like the Jenny Lynn AB transmission line, we knew there was going to be rock issues. So those type of things we have to address, but Kevin and his group got ahead of the game and had at least enough money in the project budget to cover things like that.
I'm just curious. I mean, it's, inflation has obviously settled down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Construction materials aren't, escalating so fast as they were. But
We haven't seen, like we were seeing for a while, where we'd have an engineer estimate, go out to bid, and the low bid come way higher than what we had estimated.
Like the building.
We haven't seen that for
Like the
quite a
building
while.
next door,
Right. But I think that is in large part due to a better that doesn't mean costs have necessarily gone down. It's just that the engineers are better able to predict what the cost will be. And we've actually had some come in under what the engineer's estimate would be. Like A to B was lower than what the engineer's estimated cost would be when we got the low bid.
Maybe the reason we're getting better engineers' estimates is because we have better engineers.
Have our own engineer.
no, that's,
I doubt it.
His head.
As long as we're not making any comments
No,
about previous.
not one right here in favor.
CCWD,
all right. Can we get a motion for this?
So move.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Director Robertson,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Garamendi,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. So we have no more budget increases or adjustments until now. Now we have another one.
That's right.
Okay.
Discussion action regarding amending the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget, Jeffrey.
Thank you. I gotta get them in before I leave.
That's good.
This is a little bit different. Director Robertson and Director Garamendi, little history here. A while back, I think it was 2020, we received an award from Cal OES and FEMA for critical generator replacement program. And then it was going to be a 75-25, 75% grant funded, 25% local match. However, over the time frame, there's been a delay in working with Cal OES and FEMA. And we used to have it in the capital outlay budget, and even last year for the purchase of these generators. We didn't this year because we didn't even think it was going to still be available to us. Lo and behold, just recently, they reached out to Damon and said, it's a go. So what we're requesting is to put this item back into the budget. And the local match would be $125,000 to $500,000 project. And that would be coming from the interest reserve fund, which is used to be the old 108 account, where we have what's called a special project fund that is funded in part by a certain portion of the property tax money the district gets. 15% of that property tax money goes into this fund, and we can use it for one-time costs, one-time projects, and we're going to tap that for this particular program. And what we're requesting your board to do is increase the budget by $500,000, and of which 375,000 is coming from FEMA, 125 local match. And Damon can address the program and where the generator is going to be, and these are going to be fixed generators, not mobile.
All right.
If I can, just ask a quick question. These are reimbursed grants, right? So we put the cash for it and we get reimbursed.
That is
And
correct.
that's okay for our cash flow?
That's okay for cash flow.
And one way to look at that is we can get our generators, if we approve this, at a 75% discount.
There you go.
Yeah, and this is one that I have affectionately referred to as the zombie grant, because this is from the disaster declaration from the first PSPS event, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes.
2019, 2020, which was somewhat of a traumatic event for us. We won't get into that whole story. But it's the zombie grant because it never dies and it never quite goes away, even though it hasn't been funded for a long time. And Dame deserves a lot of credit because every once in a while it starts to die and he kind of gives it life support and keeps it alive and keeps it going. And it finally, it looks like the funding is there and it'll finally come to fruition. And, standby generators, as we learned that day, and we've learned many times since, are just crucial to our operations as we lose power more and more frequently. And we know PSPS, they have gotten a lot better at managing PSPS events and reducing the duration of them, but they're not going away. Outages due to extreme weather events are not going away. So, adding new standby generators where we don't have them currently and replacing outdated ones is going to be an ongoing effort for CCWD. So kudos to you for keeping this one alive, and thank you to Jeff for turning this around so quickly.
So you want to explain where they're going?
So the current plant, there's 10 locations. The 2 wells in Wallace don't have generators, so when the power goes out, we can turn the treatment plant on, but we can't push water to the treatment plant. So this will allow us to make water when the power's out. Bless you.
Bless you.
We have 4 lift stations. We have a couple in the Rancho La Quintana. They feed Huckleberry, and then a couple up in Forest Meadows. Dennis Court pump station. So this is a pump station in the Jenny Lynn service area that pushes water up to the elevated tank, which we call 602 tank. So currently during a power outage, an extended outage, we'll have to trailer mount a generator over there and connect it. So this will be standby stationary and it'll continue to push water at the top of the hill.
Okay.
We move for acceptance.
Motion, is there a second? Any comment, Bob?
Yeah, I'll second the motion. Damon, and during the event that Michael was talking about, one of the biggest panics was the loss of the generator at Copper Cove. Will this provide for the replacement of that fairly old generator?
It does not provide for that, but the district does have kind of a list of the oldest, the generators in most need of replacement, and not necessarily the generator at the raw water intake structure in Copper, but the generator at the water treatment plant, which lost the water pump during that outage. And you couldn't find a water pump in the entire state because half the state was under PSPS. That generator's on there. So you will potentially see in future capital outlay requests replacement for generators, and that would be one of them.
How many backup generators do we have?
Roughly 85.
And that's a relatively new thing.
I mean, you guys, I think early 2000s, CCWD worked to start adding standby generators at our facilities. I think understanding how critical it was, particularly around Lake Tulloch with all of the wastewater lift stations, the 27 directly on the lake was huge. And then as we started to see these, one, unreliable power, and then 2, intentionally shutting off power to reduce the risk for wildfire. I mean, it just ended up allowing us to continue to operate in somewhat of a normal fashion, but we can always do better. And this will allow us to kind of, a lot of these sites, with the exception of Dennis Court, I would call that a critical site. A lot of these sites are the sites where, you spend half your day during an extended outage working on these 4 things, and you have to not forget to go work on this 5th thing because it could bite you if you don't. And these are those kinds of sites.
Well, I'm convinced, like the Palisades and also the Maui fires, I mean, I'm convinced that they probably didn't have adequate backup generators, and that's one of the reasons that they ran out of water.
It's definitely been discussed.
So we're able to make it. So I'm just really happy that we're making that effort. So
Just one quick question. We have they gave you green light. We're gonna not put in a purchase order until they give us that in writing, right? Or are they giving it to us in writing?
We have it in writing, but kind of for the theme of the day, to comply with federal procurement requirements, we'll issue basically a request for proposals and advertise that, and it'll be a 45-day as opposed to a 30-day window.
Okay.
And then we submit that information to OES. OES is basically like, they mind the store, FEMA gives us the money, provided that we comply with the Fed requirements. And so we'll submit all that information to OES. quarterly, we submit quarterly reports. And so this is the first quarterly report since 2020 that we'll actually request a draw to make the purchase based on the project name that they approved.
But to your point, I think we'll make sure we're not at risk of having to fund the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's a
that's
crazy
right.
political
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I
So-
just want to make sure we got the money.
Yes, we have the documents and they did shorten the timeline. So we requested originally 18 months. We have a year. And so sense of urgency is there because after that year, those monies are gone, right? So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion in a second, do we not?
Yes.
Is there any other discussion? Any public? Please call the roll.
Director Robertson,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Garamendi,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to operations report, Damon.
So I just want to highlight this operations report, 46 service line repairs in Jenny Lind, 274 underground service alerts in Epps Pass. So these are PG&E undergrounding projects. Speaking of PG&E, they have 21 projects on the pass currently. And for some of those projects, they have crews working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. And so the impact to our 3-person crew up on the pass is either trying to find time to report all these underground service alerts and go mark at the request of the project and or responding to repair leaks that have occurred as a result of the project or the work effort. And then kind of following up with those crews. So our crews, there's a contractor that has a trailer set up behind post office in Arnold, and our crews are in there constantly trying to talk back and forth about ways to kind of optimize the effort. Because a lot of the time, when USA is submitted, it can be kind of a duplicative effort. Like they submitted it a week ago, they're going to submit it again because they didn't get to that portion. So if our folks can work with these crews and kind of understand where it is they're going to be, they'll kind of be in front of them the whole time because they just issue alerts on Moss and they might just go work over here. And so that's a huge drain and they still are able to complete great work. So just want to acknowledge that. Thank you, Kate.
You haven't done PowerPoint before, have you?
I have. Yeah.
I mean, to us, was it these are regularly a
Oh,
PowerPoint?
yeah, these are yeah. I'm old school, I guess. Nowadays. This is PowerPoint. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. There we go. So this one is called 1 for 3. So you expose the service line and the manifold that feeds 2 meters and you find 3 leaks. And so there's what the manifold looks like. One service line going to 2 meters. You have a leak on an image on the left. You can kind of see that spray. And then the image on the right at the manifold, you can see it spraying in 2 different directions. So our crews just replaced this whole thing. One thing that's interesting about this image is the image on the left, you notice the person that has slides on, that is not a CCWD employee. But oftentimes when our folks are out working, they do have to contend with the neighbors who are, critiquing their work as they go. So just highlighting that there. And then, so this is a kind of an example of, we had an emergency, we had a hydrant runner break in the image on the left off of Little John Road, water everywhere, crews out in the middle of the night. And they're able to install a valve and a short section of new pipe and make a repair. And then they come back the next day and they bore a sanitary pad, they put the G5 in and they make it look very clean. And moving forward, if somebody accidentally runs over that fire hydrant, we can shut the water off at that valve. They come back at a later point in time and make a repair. So this was kind of, I want to highlight this one. This is cooperation between the Poker Flat Homeowners Association and CCWD. A service line that fed the Homeowners Association's park went through a neighboring property, and CCWD was able to work with the HOA to relocate the service line to make it a much shorter distance and direct feed to the park. Just want to highlight all the PG&E and telecom in that USA on the left. And so all of that PG&E, the power sits in common trench with the water.
The same trench as the
Same
water?
trench. Yeah.
I think that was.
And our service lines are usually below PG&E's equipment. So we were there first. But you know, there's a lot of conversations that we've had out in the field about,
What could go wrong?
right,
I'd always worked on the assumption that you weren't supposed to put them in the same ditch, but you guys know your business.
that's right. No, I mean, so, you know, as you all know, we're dealing with infrastructure that was installed many years ago. And the district has had a lot of conversations with PG&E about improvement projects for Copper Cove and Poker Flat in an effort to eliminate this issue. Excuse me. This isn't the only location where we have this issue. We have this issue up in Big Trees Village also.
We should, I mean, it's a troubling issue, and the power lines look a lot like water distribution lines.
Yeah.
We have a horrifying picture of an incident where a worker hit a power line with a sawzall.
Oh,
We should
yeah, we
share that picture again every once in a while, just to keep it fresh in everybody's minds. Because it is, it's a dangerous situation. And it causes, you know, Poker Flat, we've dedicated a lot of time and effort to replacing service lines out there, and it slows that work down. You know, our crews have to be really careful as they go through there.
that's really, that's right. Yeah. Service line repair in Venado up in the pass. And this is a great one. So this is one inch service line repair, just kind of what it looks like when we're going to issue an underground service alert. Going to put a cone out there. There's water on the ground, and then our crews come out with equipment. They're going to expose that line. This is an old galvanized line, and you can see kind of the image on the left, with the water spraying out everywhere, and then the repair on the right. And then there's the whole kind of the aftermath of the repair work, and the image on the left, all your tools, you got everything out. Image on the right. And the temporary asphalt. So you all might hear from time to time, folks reach out to you about these temporary patches that are all over the service areas. And generally what our folks do is we're not going to call in a final pave on one patch. We're going to try to optimize the repave of as many of these repairs as we can so that we can take advantage of the best possible price for the work. And so usually that's in the order of 15 to 20 different repairs that are going to happen at the same time. So some of these can sit for some months. And that's a picture of what we pulled out on the right.
How much galvanized pipe is still out there?
Well, so there's a section of Halfway Pines in up on the pass that has a fair amount of galvanized, but I would say it's probably the only section. Sheep branch, yeah, sheep branch.
But it's all dissolving like this slowly.
Slowly, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is a very interesting picture on the left. So this is a line break, a main break, and you can see. It's kind of hard to see the image on the left, but that is clear water down to the main, and the main has a huge crack right down the middle of it. And you can see the light of our employee there and his vest as he's kind of shining the light down into the hole. And then kind of what it would look like jackhammering out the asphalt in the image on the right to get down there and make a repair. There's a section cut out. And then getting into the hole of the image on the right to prep for the installation of a new section of water main. And then here we are again with that temporary asphalt and the compaction. And then one thing that we don't highlight enough is, you know, after most of the folks go home on a main break, there's somebody that's flushing the air and any debris that might have become entered into the system out. And so you see that milky water, you know, you're flushing a lot of air that's coming out of the system.
How often do we get leaks in the middle of winter? It's got to be miserable to fix that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can hear story after story from these guys about leaks in the middle of winter at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't you don't tend to forget. I would say that all the ones that I've been on, I can remember. Yeah. This is folks working, really, sometimes it's really hard to understand where our pipes are, where they're located. So, you know, we hear back and forth like PG&E hit this or a contractor hit this. Sometimes that's their issue and we work to recoup money from them. It's their issue. Sometimes it's our issue. In this case, this water main took an odd turn and we didn't realize that it did. And so this piece of equipment, this excavator hit a tooth, and a tooth in the top of the main, as you can see in the image on the left and right, you can kind of see where that tooth hit the water main and send a lot of water going everywhere. And so our guys jump in, pretty straightforward for us, cut that out and install a new section of the main. And then cleanup's always important. So this is a little bit, just so you can see like the class 2 AV in the image on the left. This is the backfill material to where that temporary asphalt layer will be. And then if there's a bunch of debris all over the street, we're going to work to clean it up and make it like that. This is an example of prepping for night work. So we have a PRV that feeds the Big Trees Village Shopping Center. And years ago, there was an issue, there was a leak on a section of pup section of pipe, very small, where there's a bypass, and you'll see these images that goes around this large valve that's from a leak, and it's repaired. And we had to develop a plan to go in and install a valve and install new equipment to repair it permanently. And so these are images of our crews taking account of what they're going to need to do the work. So you get everything out in the barn, get it out, get it ready, account for it, load up your trucks. So the shopping center is closed, all the businesses are closed, and we come in, jump down into that PRV vault. Excuse me, the image on the right, you can see that little pup is what gets from a leak. There's a welded line that went to that 2-inch pipe. It's going behind our staffer's legs there. And there was a full circle clamp on that just to make a repair while we figured out what we were going to do. And then ultimately we realized we needed to install a valve and new piping for that. And so cutting the old piping out, got the new valve there in the image on the right with the 2-inch bypass valve and piping. And then this is an example of, this is, I would say, mild, light tuberculation, corrosion on the inside of that old valve. We've seen much worse, where the throughput capacity of the pipe is goes from 6-inch down to like that. So not too bad, but still some tuberculation. And then here's the old section pulled out, the image on the left, and then the new equipment and new valve installed with the new pup in the image on the right and the left. So this was all done, after some time. Construction crew gets together in the middle of the night, does the work. This is an illustration of work that's really going to help us understand how our pressures and flows operate up on its path. This is install an analytical pressure device on PRVs, and thanks to Kevin and his folks for the grant funds from the AMI project that allow us to understand water flow up on the pass and in the different service areas. So this is an example of that. We're installing some pilot controls on a clay valve, a pressure control valve, essentially is what that is. So we can convert that to flow. And then you can see inlet and outlet pressure and water flow on your phone. And we can then incorporate that information into our work order, basically our GIS-based work order system. This is a really interesting one. The collections crew got called to a blockage up in West Point and found the system in the image on the left had hand formed a concrete pipe. So there's that gap between the white pipe and the green pipe, the sewer line, and they had poured concrete in there and just made like a little cave for the sewage to be able to flow through. I don't know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. It seemed to be watertight. But when our guys found it, they destroyed it and replumbed it to make it actually operational and effective. So sometimes you run into weird things when you're out in the field. And we ask, as you guys know, we ask our crews to do any number of things. Repair a retaining wall, So obviously, take it down, build it back level, clean it up.
Flush.
Flush. Grading work. So this is up in West Point. This work continues. Drainage work. So obviously you can see the drive into lift station 20 in Copper Cove. I think this is near Moccasin there. Director Thomas off Little John. It's kind of hard to get in and out of there. So the construction crew went in there and cleaned that up, put some rock down, make it look really nice. Cleaning out the sludge lagoon at La Cantena. We had a small forest of plants that were living on top of that sludge. So we were able to get a larger excavator in here and make quick work of all of that. Replacing failed culverts. This isn't only, we basically have a haul road that goes into our Copper Cove wastewater facility. And the culvert pipe had become smashed. And so our construction crew went out and replaced that and reestablished the road. If you did not know, we had a couple of days this last month where we were operating off the old Hunter's pump station at the Hunter's water treatment facility. So not pulling water off of the tunnel tap at McKay's, but pulling water out of Hunter's reservoir. And before we do that work, our mechanics and electricians always go in and verify the operation of the pumps. And so that's what's happening here. You see two mechanics in the image on the left, checking oil, make sure those pumps are going to work, and then electricians jumping into the MCC in the image on the right. And then telemetry control failed, so electricians are replacing that here. Electricians, again, overload settings on a raw water pump station can wreak havoc on your ability to convey water where you need it to. And so we call out our electricians. They understand that settings are inaccurately set on these pumps. And we're able to go in and change the settings and ensure normal operations. Some of the work that our electricians and instrumentation techs do really just kind of is otherworldly, in my opinion. So here's a PLC, the Copper Cove wastewater treatment plant headworks. It's going to take all that sewage, it's going to grind it up, it's going to separate the trash, and it's going to push the sewage into the process. And if that fails, we need to understand why. So they're able to plug into the brain of the system and understand what's wrong and what might be happening and then correct it. Similar case here at the Huckleberry lift station. So this is kind of what it looks like, the ladder logic of information and how things are supposed to operate. Kind of, if not this, then that. If at this setting, do this. And they can kind of follow that flow path and identify what the issue is and correct it. Mechanics and electricians working together up in West Point on a backwash return pump system. Troubleshooting the system electrically, turns out it was a mechanical issue, stuck check valve, so then the mechanics are able to say, hey, we'll take it from here. You can see mechanic Roy in the image on the left pulling the pump with his crane truck. Every once in a while you have a localized power fail, you call PG&E and they're like, no, the power's fine, we don't know what's going on. You guys have an issue on your end. And so our folks have to kind of walk the line on our property. In this case, they found a great blue heron and caused a power fail in West Point. So then you got to call PG&E out so they can go take care of this. Set you back on your way. Participated in the Advanced Clean Fleets tour over at Colorado Irrigation District with our construction maintenance manager, Pat. It was really interesting to kind of see the kind of the larger aspect of the work that we do. Is just on a larger scale, do a lot of the same work, cover a lot of the same ground. So I usually don't share pictures like this, but there was a large group and it was a positive tour. This happened to be actually after the Air Resources Board had heard the proposed amendments for the regulation and adopted those regulations, which include no ACF requirements for small fleets and low population counties like us until 2030. And so.
Good job.
I'd like to tip the cap as the tour that we had with the Air Board really had an impact on their staff. They acknowledged that that tour really affected their decision-making when it came to low population county fleets, especially the drive from White Pines to the Girl Scout camp on the 5 miles on a dirt road and the water main under us. And then, as always, we take advantage of the fire crew to do a ton of work. So this is at Forest Meadows over there, grabbing brush. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on to 5B, general manager report.
All right, mine won't be as interesting, spoiler alert, but NCPA conference a couple weeks ago, a lot of really interesting speakers and presentations there, and some really good discussions, learned a lot. Yeah, it was a very productive couple of days. We had the East Bay Mud Barbecue last week, which was also really good. So it's a great way to connect with a lot of different agencies at the same time. I think that's the greatest benefit of that. Projects, SSGID, Amador, Stockton East, North San Joaquin, a lot of just different agencies that we deal with are all there. So it's a nice way to connect with a lot of different agencies. Ongoing discussions on the Highway 4 side, meeting with city council members, and they, just trying to continue that dialogue. I'll be meeting with Dave Andrus next week. Hopefully he's out of town this week. And try to address some of those issues he brought up in our engineering committee meeting. And I haven't heard yet whether it was approved or not, but I know the Angels Camp was looking at a pretty significant groundwater study to see if they have any, if there's any potential for groundwater as a source of supply for them. So follow up with the city on that and see where that leads. That would be, they're just looking for backup alternatives, I think.
Really well, back when we had those.
Yeah, they've studied it before, and they did do some exploratory drilling, I think, after the Darby fire.
We drilled it.
I know we started to drill the Adit 4 well. I'm not sure if we did at Angels or not, but I know there was
Emergency deal. We drilled a well over there.
Yeah, it could very well be.
It ended up being a big deal.
Could very well be. Yeah, I know there have been some studies done before, so we'll see. We'll see where that one goes.
When the flume burned down.
2001.
Oh,
I thought they were pumping out of a mine shaft.
Yeah, I don't think that's
rings a bell as well. Yeah.
I think they've looked at that before. I don't think that's a clean source of water for them. They're going to revisit those options. Went to the Water Education Foundation Summit last week. It was really, really good. Really good speakers, really good panels. The last panel in particular was, veterans of a lot of different water issues. Felicia Marcus, Tim Quinn, Brenda Berman, and Jeff Mount, who all four have been involved at a high level in California and Colorado River water issues for many decades. And it was kind of just a learn from their experiences panel. I emailed them afterwards to ask if it was recorded because I want to watch it again, and I would have shared it, but they didn't record it, unfortunately. But it was a lot of really good discussion about how to resolve complex, challenging issues and how to build coalitions that can get stuff done. So it was really, really insightful. We met with the Wallace HOA recently, and we might be due for a check-in down there again. We went to their board meeting a couple years ago, and I think it's good to continue to check in with them from time to time. I participated in the Aqua board meeting last week where the board made the decision to start over with the recruitment for their executive director. So there'll be more to come on that, but basically that process is starting over. Next week, CPPA board meeting, and we've got a meeting with the Forest Meadows HOA coming up. Director Robertson, we should remember to touch base about that. A few different issues going on there. We were scheduled to be at Calaveras County Board of Supervisors next week to talk about GSA issues. That's been pushed, but just to the second meeting. So we'll be there October 28th, which actually, I think, worked out well for us as well. And we're very much looking forward to that and getting our GSA, making some changes there. The virtual DC meetings, Mia, as always, is on top of things, and I don't know if she predicted a government shutdown, but she had advised us that October would not be a good month to visit DC this year. So she was right, as usual. But we do have virtual meetings set up for later this month, including one I saw with John Watts, who was just a huge player in California water for a long time in Senator Feinstein's office, and now he's in Senator Padilla's office. So very much looking forward to connecting with him again. And then maybe getting ahead of the team on this one a little bit already, but I'm kind of excited about it. And it stemmed from a customer that sent Director Ratterman an email, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if he wants to be mentioned, but we have, in response to complaints about rate increases, we've often cited increasing regulatory burdens as one of the factors. And I just loved his response. His response was, well, which ones and what can we do about it? And that got us thinking, and I've already seen a flurry of responses from our management team about, well, here's my list. And then another email comes in with, well, here's my list about, which of the regulatory issues that we have that we feel like are overly burdensome or excessive or duplicative. And so it kind of led us to, we may talk about this in legal affairs next week, but maybe we come up with a top 5 list or something along those lines and reach out to the community and work with folks about, where we might be able to, move the needle on some of these issues, reach out to mountain counties, and see if we can enlist some support from the community on some of them. So,
we have a Mountain County's meeting on Friday, and I will mention that to them. And I did promise this guy that I'd get him back at least the top 5 or 10 of those, but
it'll be an interesting process of narrowing it
yeah,
down.
no, that's good.
So just thought I'd mention that. We'll report back on that. Have more on it. That's it.
Can you say anything about the 2-on-2 at NCPA, or is that best in another forum?
Yeah, most of that will be in another forum, but we did have, really productive, I think, overall positive meeting with a couple of NCPA commissioners and the GM while we were at the conference. And, we've been, our team has put a lot of work into follow up with that. We hope to build on some hopefully positive momentum there.
I maybe should have asked Damon when he was up here before, but I saw something on the neighborhood postings in Copperopolis about Signal Hill and the damage that was done to that road when we were doing that tank refurbishing up there.
At B Tank on the top of the hill there.
Yeah, we took the redwood tank down and put the steel tank up.
That's the first I've heard of it.
There was a photograph of a bunch of patch or similar to what you showed in your pictures, but I just would like to know whether we have obligation to go back and pave part of that or what.
If folks can reach out to us, we can see what you're describing, that would allow us to make a determination, perhaps talk to contractor and punch list.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I did have a chance. We were down in Copper yesterday. I had a chance to go look at the nuclear well, and I think our team, and along with the contractor that did that work, did a fantastic job. It all looks great, and we're looking forward to it being online here very shortly. Good project.
That's complete your report.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to board reports, information items. Jeff?
The only thing is I'm still looking forward to hearing about our cybersecurity at some point.
Yeah, and I have talked to Dylan about that, and I think we decided the second meeting this month. We'll have to circle back with Dylan and see. I'll double check on the plan for bringing it back. But that is in the works.
Could I recommend that we get the JPIA cyber guy online for that meeting to discuss with Dylan what they're doing?
Sure.
Okay, and I can reach out to him. His name's Hunter Sargent. Amazing young man. And it'd be good just to hear from him on what the JPA is doing with our insurance and the programs that are there, helping protect us. But I definitely want to hear what, is a great idea. What we're doing here and how we're doing it.
All right, Scott, do you have anything?
Yeah, last week I had a meeting in Roseville with JPIA. I'm the new chair of the liability committee program. And we discussed rates, new rates, new policy went into effect October 1st. Also last week we met a couple days, day before. Last year our rates went up by 10%. No, last year they went up by 7.5%. Year before that it was 10%. Year before that's 10%. This year we voted a 5% increase on liability rate. So it's still going up slightly. And we should have money left over at the end of the year with what the actuarial is predicting, a little over $4 million to go into funds, which helps us get closer to that point where once the property program figures out, we possibly bring in issuing checks, going back to that program, or with someone from the JPIA would bring in a big cash envelope. That was several years ago that they were doing that. That's the way a pool should work, is that if you don't spend the money, you get the members get it back. And then the last thing I have is I have a Mountain County meeting this coming Friday, and I'll report out later on what goes on there.
Okay, Russ?
I have a PowerPoint presentation that I made up on my trip to Yellowstone.
That's sweet. I would like to see that
Today.
Yeah, you got the pictures?
You didn't feed the Huffman, did you?
I didn't feed it. No, I could have. But anyway, I enjoyed kind of eavesdropping on your meeting from Yellowstone, but that was good. That's all.
Chad?
I attended the NCPA conference and I also attended the East Bay Mud picnic, which were both very valuable experiences. Nothing else to report.
All right, I was also at the NCPA event. I thought we made some good progress, had some important conversation. Hopefully we have a reset moving forward. And then also again at the East Bay Mud, it was inquired by the mayor of Lodi about our progress over there. And so that was an interesting, that they're definitely, it's on their radar. It seems like they have a willingness to try to move forward. I'm curious what happened in Valley Springs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They approved the resolution, but.
I was at that meeting.
Director Adam, when you were there.
Yeah, we did, Kevin did a great presentation, or not really, it didn't even take that much of a presentation. Kevin was there, Mike Fishers, when the agenda came up, their general manager spoke up, talked to the board about what it was doing, big, huge benefit to both agencies, great working together. It helps us get a new, it helps them get a new system. It helps us get our project done. And really all we're doing right now is agreeing to apply for the grant to see what the answers are. Kevin, there's more to it than that. It's a great collaborative, working with our neighbors and on something that I've been attending their meetings for. I mean, it was 10 years ago when we were talking about doing something with our sewer plants, and to have it come to fruition. And them to be 5-0 on voting for it, and the general manager pushing it forward. Their engineer, who has been working with Kevin, looking into it for quite a while, is all in favor and help push Mike, their general manager, towards agreeing to it. But yeah, everything went fantastic.
Good. All right, that's all I really wanted to find out about. What next then? Okay, our next board meeting, Wednesday, October 22nd. I have to check and see if I'm gonna be here on that or not, because I think that's the week we're going to New Mexico, but I'm not certain. A lot of times we don't leave till, depends on when it is. I'll find out. We're gonna enter into a closed session conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. Is there any public comment on our closed session item? Okay, seeing none, we'll adjourn into closed session.
It's been a long time since I've seen these groves of quaking aspen.